folks, welcome you all to yet another vlog of mine. Another Friday has caught up with us, people. Yes, it has. Flagons up to you all. Still not grown old yet. Still not grown old with my flagons up glass, people. My tankard, I should call it, tankard. My beer's a bit flat, though. Well, it's not flat, actually. It's very, very fizzy, but it just doesn't have a head on it. It just looks like someone weeding a large glass, people. But I can assure you, it tastes very, very nice. I'll have a little sip, will I, before we get going? Marvellous, that is. Well, we do have a fragmented list of things to talk about, people, as we often do, but it's very scattery, the list that I have. We'll see how far we go with it. Could end up being a short one, could end up being a long one, madam. We never know, people. We'll see how far we get. If you have joined to see something very specific that I've put in the video description or in the title or whatever, I will, now that I know how to do it, people, I will have put the timestamp codes in, so just go to the time code and you can watch that little bit if you don't want to listen to me prattle on, you know. But if you do, go and get yourself something very similar to one of these and let's get talking about games. I'm going to have another sip now. I've picked it up. Well, just briefly, as I always do with these things, my week, and we'll go straight into gaming actually because it's part of my week. I have had a good week. Weather's been fantastic for the main part of it, apart from yesterday, which was a little bit rainy, but it needed it, people. Needed a bit. And I used the excuse today to get the grass cut and all that sort of stuff. Garden's looking lovely. I can sit and chill out there later. Well, I'll be editing this looking out onto it and I might even get to sit in it. We never know, people. We never know. I've got 3 runs in this week, all of 8.5k. I've kept to my 1200 calories all week. And anyone that's following knows that I've been trying to drop some pounds, people. It's going really well. Like, things are just starting to fit very nicely indeed. That we're getting far too snug, people. The weight was just out of control. So we're getting to a very nice place at the moment. A few more weeks of this, I think, before I go on my holiday. So that's all been going really well. The running's been getting hard work though. I mean, I'm managing to do the run okay, but the times are just going because when you're dieting and cardio don't go hand in hand, people. They don't work well together because, of course, calories are fuel for your body to use when it's doing exercise, and of course, I'm limiting the amount of calories I'm intaking in order to drop the weight, and then I'm doing the running. So I knew that the times would start shrinking, but that's fine. Still burning the same amount of calories in the end, pretty much. And you know, it's all going to plan. And then I have my cheat day today and tomorrow. Well, I have my beer day today, my cheat day tomorrow, and then we're back to it on Sunday. So we'll keep doing that. It's working a treat. And so far as gaming goes, people, I was struggling because, as we talked about last week and the week before, but certainly last week, I discovered Gears Tactics, which I'm thoroughly enjoying still, although I've not played it this week, but I will get back to it. I was trying to find a game to sort of balance it with. I think we talked about it last week, and I think I was going to go for Outer Worlds, which I have downloaded, and I did fire it up, and I had nothing wrong with the game. That wasn't the zone I was kind of looking for. And I was really struggling. I thought, I really want to play something. I've still got Dragon Age Inquisition in mind to just show off some FPS boost, maybe, as a bit of a let's play for you guys that I've not done for a while. So that's still in the back of my mind. And I do fancy playing it again, but I'm holding off until such time as I do fancy recording a bit. Anyway, I stumbled across this little beauty, of which I'm very, very surprised that its score is so low on Metacritic. Because I bought this game, it's got to be 2.5-3 years ago, I think. Someone can correct me if it came out after that, but I bought it when I was on the Xbox One X, and I just never got to play it. I just, for whatever reason, I kept putting it off. I thought it'll be okay, but it's not for me. And I think it might have been out even on the standard Xbox before the X came out, to be honest with you, but I just never bought it, maybe. But I should have looked it up. It's terrible, people. You do a vlog, you think people would actually look stuff up before they start rattling into a camera. But anyway, the game I am talking, I expected to put this game in and be done with it in half an hour. Because I was expecting a little bit of platforming, a little bit of fun stuff with the dog and all, you know, all this sort of stuff. And I put it on and I can't believe how in-depth this game is with the amount of stuff that it's got in it. So it's Recore. I put Recore in. And I remember seeing the trailer for it. I remember being super interested in it at the time. And I was like, I'm buying it. And I got it, I'm sure I got it really early. Anyway, I got it and I've just never got around to playing it. And I put it in, and I was immediately hooked. Like, I mean, and then even then at the beginning, the sort of first sort of half hour or so, I was like, I'm not I'm not overly sure this is going to keep me hooked, because it looks like it's just going to be bit of side stuff, bit of story, and all that sort of thing. But it immediately got me hooked. The action was brilliant, and the only way I can describe this game is it's a bit like Returnal but Disneyfied. That's how it feels to me. And now I haven't played Returnal, I've just seen the footage of other people playing it, but that's what it feels like. It feels like Returnal but Disneyed. And I can't tell you how much fun this game is. Like, and I looked up on Metacritic before doing this vlog, and it's only got a 63 out of 100 from proper reviewers, and a 60 and a 6.7 from people like you and me. And I'm like, well, I don't understand why. I mean, all right, I've probably played about 4 hours of it. That's how addicted I got. It was one sitting, 4 hours. And I guess the only thing that I can see maybe becoming a factor later is maybe that the environments are just a little bit samey, because she's on the one planet. I mean, I don't know if she ends up anywhere else, but it's very deserty and rocky and, looks beautiful, but maybe it's just a bit too much of that, But you do end up in caves and all sorts of, intricate places. But I couldn't believe how in-depth it was. And then you've got, the map just went boosh and just opened up after the first section. And then you've got all of these area puzzles you've got to figure out, how to navigate them, how to get up to ledges, how to use your equipment to do stuff. And I just can't believe how in-depth it was. I was expecting it just to be some sort of fun little platformer with, not much to do. It's got a whole upgrade system for these little robot. I mean, you start off with the robot dog, and you can build other ones. I haven't got anything in my inventory after 4 hours of playing. I keep picking up all this stuff, and it just seems to be that when I go and craft everything, I use it all up, upgrade the dog, and then I run out. I go off again. And the areas always replenish themselves with all of the sort of, the stuff you need to pick up, the gems that you need to pick up for power and energy and defense. And that, the whole thing was just super fun. And then inside of the map area, you've also got all these dungeons you can do, and you go in, and they're challenge dungeons. Effectively, you go in and you try and beat the dungeon, and you get a nice big set of prizes and all that you can get in there in the end. And you want to be able to get the big giant crystal thing, I forget what their actual name is, but the big crystal, that's the one that you want to get as many of those as you can by the looks of it, and they're the hardest thing to get. Got a few of those already. And it's just such a fun game. Like, I can't believe how fun the game is. And I mean, I expected to put it on for like 20 minutes to half an hour and just be like, that's a bit guff, that. But I mean, I think I bought it on the cheap as well. I think I probably got it for about 15 quid or something, because by the time I bought it, it had already been out for a little bit, I think, now that I think back to it. And it is just superb. And it is an Xbox exclusive. It's Xbox One. But of course, it'll work on the Xbox Series X as well, if you've got or an Xbox Series S. But absolutely fantastic. I mean, I can't sing the praises of the game enough. And even the story was kind of hooking me in. I mean, it seems to be that she's on this planet, but nobody else seems to have turned up. Like, we were meant to be all meeting up on this planet, and no one else has arrived. It's just her on her own. And there seems to be this huge amount of gap in time also happened. And the robots have all gone bonkers and started attacking all the humans. And it seems like they were meant to be there to support and help the humans, not attack them. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops. But I was so hooked on it last night. It didn't start. I mean, I started playing early evening and ended up playing it all the way through till about 10 o'clock. I absolutely loved it. So if you've never played that game and you were in two minds of buying it and saw that score on Metacritic, I can't begin to tell you how fun and good that game is. The action is such good fun. Like, when you're shooting at the enemy, the structure is, and it's really, really fun structure, and it's probably been used in other games. I don't know. I'd never seen it before, but you've got different colours of power that you can put on your weapon. So if you're fighting an enemy that's kind of glowing a bit red, you switch to the red ammo and you get a bit more damage. Blue, yellow, so on, white. I've only got a couple of the colours at the minute. I've got blue and red, I think. Or no, white, just a plain white and red is what I've got at the minute. And so you can switch that up, but you can get multiple enemies at the same time, so different colours. So you kind of bouncing between them with the D-pad, as you know, colour, power colour, and all that. Colour matching, they call it in the game tutorial. So you've got all of that going on, and then you've got this thing when the enemy gets to a certain sort of health level. If you can try and do it before that, but you'll get booted off. But when it gets low in its health, you get the option to hit the right stick, and then you get into this tug of war trying to pull the crystal out of the enemy. And you can do it really quickly on the fly. It was really, really cool. When you get into the tug of war, if it starts glowing red, you've got to let go a little bit, and then, you know, it's a bit like fishing. Like, you don't let it get too tight. You keep this tug of war going until you get the crystal out. I mean, it's just so rewarding when you're playing that battle system. It's so good. And you get all these pickups from it, and there's so much stuff to collect in the world as well in order to get your robots built, your robots upgraded, all this sort of stuff. And loads of like chests that you can open. Like, there's loads of stuff to shoot that will just drop the basic components that you want, and then there's stuff that you can actually, you've got to go out your way to get these chests that you actually open, and they've got the cool blueprints for all the stuff you want to build. So good, people. I can't begin to tell you how good the game is. I'm super surprised at the score that's on the system. Maybe it got low scores because there wasn't enough content in it. I know there was extra content released for it, because I think there's like a legendary edition or an extended, I can't remember. There's another edition coming out, I think, that'll have all the DLC with it. Obviously, I've only played 4 hours of it. Maybe it will get a bit samey, but to me, I mean, even if it got samey, I think it deserved a bit more than that. You know, I would have at least be sticking it above the 7s. I mean, 6.7 is where it is with the user score, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe it gets a bit repetitive, but it is super fun. Really, really fun. And, you know, voice acting's great. As I say, story's great. Yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. So I'm looking forward to I'm going to bounce between that and Gears Tactics, I think. Because I was kind of in this hole of like, oh, Resi Village just left me with this empty place. I finished Resi 2. Well, Aaron keeps telling me I haven't because I've not done the second playthrough. But I finished Claire's story on Resi 2 finally. So that was good. And after that, I have got Resi 3 to move on to. We talked about that in another vlog. It was only 15 quid. Grabbed it from AO.com, I think it was. Got it from there on the cheap. So that's sitting there ready to play. But I didn't want to go into another Resi world at this particular point. And I also considered doing the challenges on, I think they're called challenges. It might be called something else. Is it missions, challenges? I can't remember. Someone will correct me. But on Resi Village, there's a sort of mission challenges type section where you can go and just, you know, try and, I don't know, you just kind of work your way through an area and you get rewarded and what have you. You basically build up your points for buying things like infinite ammo and, you know, additions you can put on that will help you if you want to go and try and play the game on the hardest difficulty and you've unlocked those bonuses. You'll be able to then breeze through it because you've got a bloody magnum with infinite ammo or something, you know, stuff like that. So everything just becomes super easy to kill. And it will certainly make for a second playthrough being a lot more of a breeze and a bit more relaxing, and just, you know, because it'll be tough and the enemies will hit you hard, so it'll be good not to have to worry about, you know, picking up enough ammo and stuff like that. So I'll definitely do that if I do think about doing the hardest difficulty. I definitely want to play that game again, and I'll definitely buy it. I played it on the PlayStation 5. I got a beautiful steelbook set from Aaron for my birthday for it, and brilliant. But I will definitely probably use the excuse to have got the Series X as well, so I'll probably at some point in the future get it for the Series X when it's dirt cheap and just use that as an excuse to grab the G's for it as well on the Xbox Series X, the powerhouse that is. Well, both of them are great consoles. I mean, I am kind of loving my Xbox Series X a bit at the minute, which I think is why I didn't go back and start playing Immortals Phoenix Rising or something else back on the PlayStation 5. I just wanted to spend some time on the Series X. I'm kind of in the zone with my Series X at the minute. So there you are. So that's what I've been up to gaming wise this week. I mean, it took me all week to pick up Recore, so I hadn't really gamed at all until last night, and I got a good 4-hour session in pretty much, I think that was. Loved it though, super. So I'm really looking forward to doing a bit more of that. it'll be interesting to see if it does get a little bit tiresome. I did think last night, I thought, there's a lot to do here when things started opening up. But in the end, you can always just rattle through the story. You just got to do enough to keep your level building up high enough. And it tells you on the map and the story quest as to what level you should be to try and take it on. So it's fine, and it lets you level up super quick anyway. You can go back into the same areas again and all the stuff will be there for collecting again, and you can still fight the enemies in there or respawn. So it's super easy to just get yourself leveled up. Superb. I can't recommend it enough. If you ever looked at that game and thought, well, it's only got a 6.7, honestly, well worth it. Really, really, really good. Beautiful game, beautiful gameplay, beautiful battle system, beautiful. Really, really good. Really, really good. There you are. Should we crack on with some news, people? I might have another sip of this. How long have we gone there? 15 minutes? Might need my old man glasses, people. Let's see how we get on. So, a Recore we have just talked about. Oh, I've got hiccups after that sip, people. Stand on my head. Drink a glass of water upside down. Someone give me a fright. Horizon Forbidden West has... Yes, Horizon Forbidden West. Apparently there was an interview with a French magazine, and one of the... forget the guy's name, but the head of the... It's maybe the director, but one of the head designers. He was chatting to a French news outlet, and apparently in that interview he was asked if Horizon Forbidden West will have a 60 FPS performance mode, and he said that it would. Now, I went to watch that interview. Now, the guy in the video is talking French. I have no idea what he's saying. But the guy from Gorilla, he was speaking in English, and at no point did I hear him say it. But apparently this guy said that he did ask it, and he did say there would be a performance mode. So we were talking about that last week. I was super disappointed because they showed it off. I can kind of understand why when they do a show off, they want to say 4K, 4K, 4K. But for me, I'd rather see the 60 FPS running. And it was the same when they showed off... I'm pretty sure the first time they showed off Demon's Souls, it was at 30 FPS. And they said, yeah, don't worry, there's a 60 FPS mode at 1440p, it'll all be good. So they didn't... I don't think they said in the interview whether it's 1080p or 1440p. We'll see what happens with that. But that's really pleasing. I will probably only ever play that game if they patch the existing game, Horizon Zero Dawn, with 60 FPS patch, because I can't be playing any game at 30 FPS anymore. My eyes are broken, people. They broke my eyes when they introduced 60 FPS, because every time I now put a game on and it doesn't have FPS boost, or it doesn't have any update to do a 60 FPS, I can't play it. It's just, my eyes are just like, no, that's horrible, take it off. And I won't play it. I will not play 30 FPS games anymore. So that was good news to hear. Hopefully they might patch the existing one and it'll make me go back and finish it, and I might be interested in this one further down the line. Certainly not going to be playing it day one though. Final Fantasy VII Intergrade. Yeah, this was an interesting one because I was like... I got an email to my phone from Square Enix. To me personally, no one else got it. They like talking to me. It was just an advert thing. And they said that Intergrade's coming out and pre-order it here but everything I clicked on was just the full whack game, or a higher edition of the full whack game. So it was either 60 quid or 85 quid. And I'm like, hang on a minute, well, can you not just buy the Intergrade thing? Now, Aaron Brew, he seems to think that yes, you will be able to buy Intergrade as a DLC. You just can't pre-order it, which I'm sure is not right. I'm sure you can buy DLC in advance, but I couldn't find it anywhere when I was looking at the links. And I think the DLC itself is called Intermission, and Final Fantasy VII Intergrade is the version of the game that has Intermission on it, and also the PS5 upgrades on it. And I adore that remake, Final Fantasy VII remake. So I will be tempted at some point to get the PS5 physical version, I think, just so that I have it as a PS5 version without having to rely on the patch downloading to the PS4 version that I have. But for the time being, I'm not sure I'm going to pounce into it on day one. I do want to play Final Fantasy again, and I'm dying to play it at 60 FPS. That'd just be gorgeous. So yeah, I am looking forward to playing it again. Again, I don't think it'll be day one thing for me, but yeah, I'm super excited for that. And I mean, my grumble to Aaron was that if you can't pre-order the DLC, it's a little bit unfair. Because if you buy the game outright as Intergrade, you can download it for midnight on that day and play it immediately at midnight because you'll already have downloaded it and you can go straight into it. If you can only buy the DLC once it's after midnight, you've then got to sit and wait for it to download. Or it could be that the game just has a patch which is going to download itself before the actual time comes, and then it will just unlock if you've paid for it, it will just unlock and play. So, it'll be interesting. If somebody knows the answer to that, let me know. But I was thinking about it, I thought that's because it's a bit harsh if they're expecting people to buy Intergrade and you can't buy Intermission by itself. But it seems, I'm sure Aaron's convinced that you can just buy the DLC. But I just couldn't find it anywhere on the shop. Anyway, that's out on the 10th of June, people. 10th of June. I mean, that's only, what day is it? 4th, I think we're on at the minute. So 6 days. I mean, that's awesome. It's, next Thursday. Is it? Did we do them on a Thursday here? I thought it was on a Friday we did them here. Yeah, anyway, next week. It's on the 10th. And Ratchet and Clank, I think we talked about it last week, but that is out on the 11th of June, which is a bit weird again here. I think that's a bit of an odd day. Normally things are released in the UK on a Tuesday or a Friday. That's the 2 days that they normally land. In this particular case, one of those is on an odd day. Because 11th sounds like it's the Friday to me, which means I suppose you could argue that Final Fantasy VII Intergrade is a patch rather than and bear in mind that Intergrade is if you have the game on PS4 and you have a PS5, you will get the PS5 patch for free. That'll just download to your game and you'll get the PS5 60 FPS and ray tracing stuffs that they might have put in and all that sort of thing. So you should get options for the PS5 at that point. That would just come. But Intermission is the new character and new story and stuff. That's the DLC that you pay for. Just to clarify, people, in case you're wondering what the hell I was going on about. Ratchet and Clank on the 11th. Again, that is more a case of I just won't pay 70 quid for a game. I mean, I did it once for Demon's Souls just so I had something to show you guys on day one. But day one of the PS5. But I'm not going to be spending £70 a game. We talked about it last week. I won't harp on about it again. But anyway, out on the 11th. We've got a couple of release dates for one game I've not talked about, one game we talked about last week. I can't remember if the game I talked about last week, I can't remember if I gave you a release date. I think I did, but I'm going to mention it again. So Far Cry 6 is out on October 7th. They've given a solidified date for it. Now, we all know that we can take dates with a pinch of salt, really. I'm sure we'll get to October 7th and it'll be October 7th, 2022. Yeah. But anyway, they seem confident it's going to be October 7th for their Far Cry 6. Far Cry 5 I didn't play. Far Cry 3 was really cool, didn't finish it. I got really close to the end but didn't finish it. Far Cry 4 I finished and it was really good fun, great game. But I can kind of take those kind of games or leave them, really. They're not must-haves for me, I'm either in the zone for a game like that or I'm not. And for some reason I found Far Cry 4 I think if I got bored I just rattled through the story. But I did a lot of stuff in Far Cry 4. It's a really, really good game. Far Cry 5 I didn't fancy the theme of it. And yeah, Far Cry 6 I'm not overly... Well, it might be a similar theme to 4 really. But anyway, it looks good. It looks great. If you're into that sort of thing I'm sure it'll be fantastic. But again, not for me. Dying Light 2, which we talked about, Stay Human, I think its full title is. Dying Light 2, Stay Human. December 7th for that one. So we've got 2 games toward the end of the year that have got definitive dates. So we've got October 7th for Far Cry 6 and we've got Dying Light 2 on December 7th. At the moment, anyway. And Horizon Forbidden West, which we were talking about earlier, is... Well, they've confirmed it's Holidays 2020, but they still haven't confirmed a date. So we can suggest that that's probably... Holidays usually means very late October, November, I think. Normally. Right. Well, yes, there was an interview with Herman Hulst apparently, and it was all on the PlayStation bloggy type thing. And he was kind of mentioning a number of things. He went on to talk about God of War being delayed until 2022, which I think that was posted up on Twitter first, and then he mentioned it in the interview. I think that was the way around it went. Can I have another sip of this? I don't think anyone started crying in their soup about God of War being delayed. I think that game franchise renewal of it for God of War on PS4 was so good that people want this one to be as good. So I don't think they're even going to remotely care that it's been delayed. Well, we all want the games as quickly as we can have them, but we'd rather a game of that magnitude was right and they were happy with it, and we get a bug-free good, well, as bug-free as we can get these days, excellent title that we can just get into and enjoy. So I don't think anyone's been too upset about that. I think the fans that love that game would want them to take the time they need. God of War is just so good. I never really played. I had a shot of the older God of Wars, PS3s, and I think they were remastered for PS4. But when they renewed it, that was all the Greek god stuff. But when they renewed it in the sort of Viking-y type area, world god stuff, it was just a whole new, a whole new gameplay style, a whole new story-driven thing, a new voice actor. I mean, it was just great. I mean, it was fantastic and it was stunning. And it was so beautifully. The cinematics are amazing. Area to area is amazing. I think it was the first game that was just seamless. I don't think there was any loading screens other than when you die. I don't think there was any loading screens. You literally went from area to area. The way they'd done it was just one scene. I think they'd done it in. Pretty sure that was the game they did that in. It was just stunning. So yeah, I mean, that might be one of the few occasions where I spend 70 quid on day one. One of the few. That and The Last of Us Part 3, if that comes along, which I'm pretty sure it will. Yeah, a few people were getting there. There's a big pause there, weren't there, people? It's because I've not got my glasses on, so it takes me longer to read them. There's a few people getting their old pantyhoses in a twist, people. And I'll tell you for why. Because PlayStation are now coming out and going, oh, that God of War thing that we said was PS5, and that Horizon Forbidden West we were going was a PS5 game. They're actually PS4 as well. They're cross-gen, Now, the Horizon one was... I knew that already, because when they first announced Horizon Forbidden West, sorry, they said right off the bat, this is a PlayStation 4 game that will play on a PlayStation 5. It was built for the 4, but they've obviously built in the ability for it to do more on the 5 now that we've heard that other news. So that wasn't a surprise. God of War, however, I think people are getting upset because they keep punting things as PlayStation 5, and then later down the line they're going, oh yeah, I'll play on PlayStation 4. And I understand why they're continuing to put stuff on PlayStation 4, because there's so damn many of them that it's just stupid not to. Like, as a business, you have to. There's 100 gazillion bloody PlayStation 4s out there, and if you don't make your game for it, you're just losing shit tons of cash. So you've got, as a business, you've got to try and at the moment, got to make those games work. And until such time as you can actually make the amount of PlayStation 5s that those PlayStation 4 users can buy, then it's just common sense. Otherwise you're just writing off all of your PlayStation players that don't have a PS5 yet, and a lot of them can't get them even though they want them. So I can understand it, and yes, for me, it's going to hold things back a little bit, but the cross-gen it's just so wide because there's so many PlayStations out there. It's the same with the Xbox to some degree, but there are so many PlayStation 4s out there. They just can't ignore the fact that they're there and ignore the fact that they can't make enough PS5s at the minute. So it just makes sense for them to build these games with the ability to go on the previous gen of console. They may be doing the same thing that... I remember seeing an article or an interview at some point that when they made Resident Evil Village, they actually built it for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X first. And then they said, once we've got it on those Uber consoles, we'll then try and cut it back and get it working on the older ones. But we want it to be as best it can be on those first, and then so if they're doing that concept, and it's not a case of let's make a PS4 game and then make it look good on the PS5. If they do it the other way around, I think you're probably creaming the hardware a little bit more, and then you can kind of undo bits for the lower versions. So, and for me, if there's a proper version of that game, there's kind of a clear definition for me with PlayStation. You get a PlayStation 5 box and you get a PS4 box. With Xbox, it's very ambiguous, because all you get now, in fact, I should have brought the Valhalla one's got it, but on this you've got Xbox One at the top there, right? In silver, just here. It says Xbox One. On the new ones, it just says Xbox. If it's for both, it just says Xbox, and then in black here it's got Xbox Series X and S on it, and Xbox One if it does it. So it's just got Xbox on it. And my gripe with Valhalla when I got it was that I couldn't find out whether the whole Series X game was on that disc, or whether only the one version was on that disc and the rest of it was a download. And when I put that game in, and whether or not it was because of that, I don't know, but the download for that game when I put it in was massive. It was huge, like 40 gig huge. It was huge on day one, and that suggested to me that all that was in that box was the Xbox, well, on that disc was the Xbox One version, and everything to do with the Xbox Series X was download. And that annoys me, because I should be able to buy on disc the version that I want for my console. And I understand, like, some of them aren't even doing that. Like, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is a PS4 game, and that's all it is. There is no PS5 version. There is a patch that comes to let it play at 60 FPS and stuff on the PlayStation 5, but there is no PlayStation 5 version, and it's the same for the Xbox. So that's fine. That's distinctive, and we know what that's about. But if PlayStation, if there is a definitive version for those consoles, then in my opinion, there should be an Xbox. I'm kind of understanding what Xbox are trying to do. Because they're doing backward compliance and everything. They're just trying to say this is an Xbox game in this box, and from this point on, from Xbox One, from going all the way forward now to whatever we do next, the Xbox One game will play on one of those platforms. A bit like having a PC. It will just play in different ways on different versions of console. So I understand what they're doing, but I still want to have whatever version of console I've got. I want to have the software on the disc, so I know that I've got the best version I can have on the disc, not have it downloaded. That said, I don't know what was in that download for Valhalla. It just seemed huge not to be all of the stuff for the Series X. Whereas I buy it for the PS5, I've got the PS5 version on the disc, and it goes in, and I know I've got the full version. So I'd like some clarity on that from the Xbox side. It's just one of those things. I know a lot of people are going digital and don't really give a shit anymore. But for me, I'm still someone that likes buying the disc. I like to know that if the internet disappeared tomorrow, I can still put my disc in and play the best version of the game, as best it can without the odd patch here and there. But anyway, I feel like I've lost my plot completely there, people. I went off on one and started talking about all sorts of things. Where did we start that conversation? Hey, God of War, wasn't it? Yes, it was the cross-gen thing. So that was it. God of War apparently is a cross-gen. Horizon Zero Dawn was definitely a cross-gen. And then you've got Gran Turismo 7. Do you know, now that I'm thinking about it, I think Horizon Forbidden West, keep saying Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West might be one of those games that doesn't actually have a PlayStation 5 box. They might just say it is a PS4 game, but there's a PS5 version. I'd be surprised if they do that. I think that it would diminish it a little bit. I think with that one they should give it a PS5 box of its own. But anyway, they definitely said it was a PS4 game that will run on a PS5 way back when we saw it for the first time. So anyway, Gran Turismo 7, however, is supposed to be a PS5 exclusive. Well, actually, according to my notes here, that is cross-gen, but I've got a feeling that it's not. I've got a feeling Gran Turismo 7 is PS5 only. But now I've written my note. My notes might be wrong, people. My notes say that Gran Turismo 7 is also cross-gen. But I think it was Horizon Forbidden West and God of War that were cross-gen. Gran Turismo 7, I think, is still a PS5 only. Because I think they're trying to bring the Gran Turismo thing back and really give the Forza stuff a run for its money again. It used to be the best racing game around back in the PS2, PS3, up to PS3, with the best racing game. Bend Studio, who did this is all from this interview with Herman Hulst. Bend Studio, who were working, who made Days Gone. We had a couple of vlogs back, we had that conversation about they're not allowed to make Days Gone 2. They pitched it and they said, no, for whatever reason, didn't sell enough, didn't do well enough, blah, blah, blah. So for whatever reason, they weren't allowed. And then there was this hoo-ha about the fact that they were being asked to work on other studios' titles, like something from Naughty Dog or something from somewhere else. Anyway, it turns out that they're actually working on their own new IP, and it is being built upon the massive Uber open world system that they used for Days Gone. So that's going to be really interesting to see and see what they come up with there, because it was a great world, great mechanics, all the motorbike riding stuff, and it was really cool. It's a great game, Days Gone. It had a little bit of a bumpy start, it needed quite a few patches, but it's now got I need to go back and play it again just to play it in 60 FPS, because they've got a 60 FPS patch for it now as well. So yeah, it was really nice to hear that they're actually been allowed to go and do a new IP all of their own and not just work on other people's stuff. It's a waste of a studio for me, that, working on other folks' stuff. 2-year delay on... Yeah, again, with Days Gone, it's coming to PC soon, and there's a little bit of a... I don't really think it's that invasive to... I mean, I know it's like PlayStation exclusive, and it's part of the reason you buy a PlayStation 5, and, or whatever. But I don't think games coming further down the line onto PC is a bad idea. I think it helps solidify PlayStation or Sony's position in the market. It just gives them more coin for PC gamers buying those games. But what they were saying was in the interview, the 2-year delay between Days Gone coming out and hitting PC was deliberate. It wasn't that they couldn't do it earlier. It was just that they wanted to leave a massive breathing space to say, look, these games you're always going to want a PlayStation. If you love these titles, you're going to want that PlayStation, because you're going to be waiting 2 years to be playing it on a PC. So, it's still long enough. It's different with Xbox. They're sort of putting them on PC straight away. It's a bit different from them, but then they've got their different route is Xbox, the Games Pass stuff going on. So they've got a whole different thing going on over there. For me, absolutely, stick all of the titles, for first-party titles, on PC at some point. Why not? It's just extra money in the big kitty that will bring us bigger games and more titles for the PlayStation itself. And just make sure you give it a nice big breathing space, like 2 or 3 years before it hits PC. It's fine. I don't see, if anyone's moaning about that, I think you should consider the bigger picture, because the amount of money they'll get just as a second wind for those games will help throw money back into those studios on what they're building next or what they'd like to do in the future, without any shadow of a doubt. And Sony just in general. I went on again just to see how Biomutant was doing with the user scores, because it got a 63 out of 100 from the official reviewers, and it's on a 7.1 from fans. So 7.1 out of 10 is a good score. You're only 3 away from perfection. You know what I mean? So 7.1 is a decent score. It's a good game, effectively. So I still haven't. I'll buy that game when I see it on the cheap at some point. And there is still no mention from Sony about E3 2021 whatsoever. And most other companies have solidified their... I mean, it's only a virtual event, but they haven't taken part in the last 2 now. Well, there wasn't one last year, and they didn't take part in the one the year before. They wanted to do their own stuff. So, I'm not sure we'll be seeing Sony at an E3 event anytime soon, or if ever at all again, because I think they know they get just as much attention by doing their own thing. It's a shame, because E3 is always that one big one which, like, everyone's there. There's a competitiveness there against Microsoft. Sony and Microsoft, Xbox and PlayStation, and Nintendo to some degree, but they kind of do their own thing now. And it's just nice that this whole thing happens all at once. And especially if you're someone that's going to physically go there, you've got all of these things happening. You can go and see what everyone's up to. It's a community in the end, gaming. And if they all start splintering off and doing their own things, it feels less like a community, doesn't it? I mean, it's just nice to have everyone sort of thrown into the building. The downside of E3 for those companies is the expenditure is ridiculous. The amount of money that E3 asks for to take part in that event is outrageous. I mean, it's just ridiculous the amount of booths cost and stuff like that. I mean, there's no way a small developer is going to be able to afford it. But, you know, I would be nice if they do a joint thing. But they do, is it PSX now, the PlayStation Experience? Xbox do their own thing now as well. But they still take part in E3, you know. But then, you know, Microsoft have the bottomless pit that is the war chest that will never empty, people. Well, how did we do, people? I think we're about 40 minutes. I think we're about the same as last week. God, blimey, my throat's hurting. It's all this time on my own, not speaking to anyone. I eventually have to have a conversation for 40 minutes. My throat hurts. So there you are, people. If I carry on any longer... So what I'm going to do now... I'll just be rambling for no reason. What I'm going to do now is enjoy the rest of this. Flagons up once against you all. Once again. Sun is still beaming out there. I'm going to pack all this up, take the laptop through to the little chill out area out there, pop my tunes on, top this up, and start editing this all together for you guys. And I look forward to next week's gaming, actually. Recore, bouncing between Recore and Gears Tactics. I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to get last minute tempted into Ratchet and Clank. If anything, if I buy any, if I get tempted into buying anything, it'll be the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, is it? Yeah, pretty sure it is. The Mass Effect trilogy, anyway. For the Xbox Series X, I think I'm going to get it for, because I watched Digital Foundry's comparison and it just edged it, I think, on performance. So I'm going to go for the Xbox Series X on that one. And I just was like, am I going to play it straight away? I mean, it's a great bargain, that. I think it's like £50 for 3 games like that, remastered and all the rest of it. And there's so many hours of gameplay in that. It's just whether or not I would go straight into it, that was all. And I thought, well, I might as well just wait, because I'd already got Resident Evil 3 as well for £15. So I've still got that sitting to play. Stumbled onto Gears Tactics and now Recore, so I've got those to have a look at. So I've got plenty to be having a think about. And, you know, by the time I actually pull the trigger on Mass Effect trilogy, it may well have dropped by a tenner or, you know, 20 quid, even if a big sale comes along. But it's still, for 50 quid for 3 titles is not bad at all, is it? Fantastic. I know they're older games, but still, you know, they put a lot of work into remastering them and making them look good. Beautiful at 60 FPS as well, apparently, on the old PlayStation 5 and Series X. There you are, people. Right, that is all I have for you. It has been, yes it has, an honour and a privilege serving for you in this vlog of mine today. And I shall see you all in the next one, folks. Take it easy. Bye.